Welcome to another Human First AI Marketing Podcast. This time, we're talking about some simple strategies for AI marketing and how we can think about this with Ali Schwanke from Simple Strat. SimpleStrat.com is the website. She also hosts HubSpot Hacks and Marketing Deconstructed. I really recommend you check out that newsletter because there is a lot we need to construct and deconstruct these days, right, Ali?
Yeah, I mean, that's the goal, is figure out how to teach people what's going on behind the scenes so they can understand how to make better decisions faster.
Yeah, so let's jump into it here and talk about the strategy first. Obviously, I went with like a human first strategy when thinking about AI of like, we need humans at the beginning of the process and end of the process. And I wanted to put customers first. And I think it is, it's a decent way to think about the strategy of how to apply AI. But when it comes to marketing, we've got old school marketing. I think direct mail and stuff can still work. We've got all these tools that we've been using for MarTech for a long time. And then AI could disrupt, you're an agency owner, you've got your own employees, you've got your own personal and professional workflows, and then you have your clients. I'm wondering where you get started or how you think about your priorities with AI.
Yeah, I think this is a really good question. And I don't know, I'll answer that in a second, but I think everybody they're not confused. They're honestly in analysis paralysis because things are changing so fast that, wait, what if I put together a strategy today and tomorrow AI can do something totally different? Excuse me. It is important to understand that regardless of technology, AI or no AI, the goal of business is to make money. And the way we make money is that we sell something of value to customers who then pay us for that value. So I think if we define that, and then the way that businesses get customers is they think about how people solve problems, how they go finding new solutions, and your marketing should marry that path, right? And so to me, the way that I think about AI is less about AI and less about how are people buying? Where are they going? Who are they talking to? For employees, how are they learning? How are they being coached? What's expected of them? And so if you go to the psychology of it, it becomes more clear. But if you go to the information and just, ask AI and get all sorts of different takes on it, you're going to be flooded with options, which then leaves you back in the same position you are now, which is, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, I find myself falling into that trap. Even as an experienced marketer, I think, okay, like, hey, ChatGPT, give me some ideas for, a marketing plan for this project or this event coming up. And it starts giving me stuff. And then it says like, would you like to write the landing page and the email copy? And all of a sudden I'm making more stuff than I can even read myself. And I've got like 15 pages of a marketing plan and copy for email and social. And now I'm feeling overwhelmed and I get this anxiety of like, if I can't even read all this, how are any of my prospects or clients going to be able to read and keep up with all of this stuff? And then personally, I think I also freak out with just, humanity on a wider scale, and I got to stop doing that. But I think like if every small business does this, it's going to be too much. Like all of a sudden we have every small business marketing like a large Fortune 500 company because we can make all of the assets and funnels and very well the HubSpot like sequences and workflows, and we can branch off things or segment down to the person instead of just like one generic campaign or persona. And all of a sudden it feels 100 times bigger than marketing did just like 5 years ago. Is that fair?
Well, it's fair, but it's also, I think, unfair because we're comparing what we need to do to market today to what we needed to do 5, 10 years ago. So, 5, 10 years ago, you needed a website and you needed multiple landing pages and you need multiple content assets. And now I talked about this on the podcast of Design Of with Justin Aarons. And I said, if everybody has access to the same playbook, what's differentiated anymore? So if we can all make, like, again, if my competitor if we don't have a very strong competitive moat, you go onto AI, you ask the same questions, you're going to get the same similar campaign, the same similar ideas. So I've been talking about this concept called creative courage. And the thing that I think is setting people apart in the humanity space is being willing to lean into ideas that AI hasn't really even verified that they're good yet. And so, look, if you think about it, when you go on to AI, what you're doing is you're looking for information to validate something that you don't know. And so, we're looking for that certainty. And because humans crave certainty, AI has given this amazing amount of certainty, but it hasn't given us certainty of outcomes. Like, if I do X, will I get Y? That's still, as humans, what we're looking for, and we're not getting it. So I think who looks like yourself and myself that are highly creative and strategic, this is a golden opportunity for us right now.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. And I also still kind of find myself getting trapped in that. I think that
Okay. How so?
the problem with um, using AI to come up with your strategy, I guess,
Hmm.
is that marketing has always been that way. As soon as a tool works,
Hmm.
everybody jumps on it until it doesn't work anymore and they ruin it, you know? So it's like I mentioned direct mail earlier. Direct mail probably worked at the beginning. I think it works again
Hmm.
now because nobody's doing it anymore.
Yeah.
So I get 1 to 4 pieces of direct mail like a day or a week. And so you can have 25% of the share of audience there. But everybody knows about LinkedIn now. And so there's a
Hmm.
million people posting on LinkedIn. I have thousands of followers and connections. That means I'm getting 1,000th of the share of voice of any
Hmm.
one person there. So I think that's what I was feeling in your answer is that I think you're right. We have to get out of this bubble of looking for proven stuff or what's working today or what these like little um, hacks or techniques are because they change all the time. And we really need to focus more on what's our strategy of where we're going, what makes our customers unique, our company unique. And if you're an ice cream shop on the beach, you probably don't need a whole lot of AI in your marketing,
Hmm.
right? You need some signs and maybe make some noise or something like that on the beach, and you'll be just fine. Maybe use AI on the back end to do your books or something. But as far as
Yeah.
marketing goes, probably not a whole lot.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's really good use cases across every industry for marketing and AI. But going back to your fundamentals, it still matters to have a really excellent product. It still matters to have the right people. It still matters to have, an excellent, like, marketers ruin the 4 Ps, everybody in the business school, product, place, promotion, price, because place actually used to refer to distribution. And so because you can't have 3 Ps and a D, marketers decided to name it place. And so because of that, your distribution channels, and that's where that is really where I think this is changing a lot. So distribution and promotion are the two that we typically think of when we think of marketing. And promotion is like the ads and the emails and all of that stuff. But now, I don't know about you, a lot of people are buying products that they were referred to by their friends, not because they didn't do that before, but because we're
Mm.
constantly saying, is this real or is this not? And I can see you right now. And at least right now, I know you don't have an avatar. So I can trust you and know that when Mike says use product XYZ, I've got Mike's, vouch of approval. So it's almost like everyone now has their own good housekeeping seal of approval. And that is one of the biggest fundamental shifts, I think, in our marketing today, whether it's B2C or B2B.
Yeah, I agree. And so that's what kind of where I was going to go with you next is what distribution channels do you feel like are working? We're seeing this big kind of seismic shift this year of search traffic going down. Pay-per-click ads are going up, but now they're not being shown as much. Click-through traffic is different. Like you said before, the funnels and the landing pages and the websites and the SEO was a big part of marketing for the last 20 years. And I maybe we're early on that and it's still going to be fine or it's still something to do. But even social channels feel like there's more noise than ever. And I like that idea of referral marketing or finding ways to get in front of actual real humans first before we do anything else. But what are you seeing working for yourself and your clients this year?
Yeah, well, one of the things that I avoid is wide sweeping generalizations about tactics working. Because if you look at what maybe if you and I were marketers in the, let's say, 50s and 60s, we had a small amount of channels available to us and it was mass marketing. And that's kind of just how it worked. And now, if you sit down and ask a room of marketers, what are all the different marketing tactics and channels we have, we'd be there for hours. It's so fragmented. So I think one of the things that is important today is really thinking about niching down and getting in front of the right people with the right message. So Larry Kim was really good at this, the founder of Mobile Monkey and WordStream. He back in the day, he would talk about running ads to people about let's say Harry Potter fans that were also SEOs. And so the ad would be if Harry Potter did an SEO strategy, and that would be like the ad. And you'd target it because the only people that are going to pay attention to that ad are Harry Potter lovers. And I think that sort of creativity and that sort of specificity stands out still. So those paid ads may still work. Now, if you're trying to reach all marketers who might need a marketing automation software, good luck. How big's your budget and you just can't stand out anymore. There's so many. I mean, the landscape is just crazy.
Yeah.
So what's working? So, we as a company are continuing to lean into thought leadership, webinars, YouTube. We've got an email newsletter. So we're doing some of the same things that we did before. I think the two things that are setting us apart, one is consistency. I think people start and stop things all the time that you always wonder, Mike, are you still doing that thing? Are you still
Right.
running that newsletter? Are you still doing that podcast? And we tend to trust people that stay the course. The other thing that we're leaning into that I think a lot of companies, I talk to a lot of SaaS companies that are doing this too, live events, private dinners, VIP, strategic partnerships, really having that human to human, like you go look for people to go to bat, I'll go look for people to go to bat, and then we'll have dinner, right? So I think that those, they're small. It's hard to plan for those to scale, but all you need is a couple of really good partners that go in with you on that. So we're seeing a lot of that in the B2B space.
Yeah. That's interesting. Tell me more about that a little bit. When you say partners, you're basically co-sponsoring a dinner, a live event?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that I'm finding, and maybe this is just my personality too, is I like doing business with people that I like. So, if we tend to have a shared approach to business, or even if we view business a little bit differently, there's plenty of room for all of us to compete in the marketplace today. There's plenty of room. So if that means you're going to bring a different audience to a dinner and I'm going to bring a different audience to a dinner, and we know it's mutually beneficial, we know we're there to meet other humans. We're not there to pitch services, but there's free drinks. So there's got to be at least a 5-minute something, right?
Yeah.
So I think that that's important, but the number as a HubSpot partner ourselves, the number of companies that the first thing they're going to in going to market is building a partner program, that tells me that that playbook works. Now, is it getting exhausted? Probably. Is it harder to do? Yes. But the reason why they're trying it is because they know that that's scaled for companies, because that trust is inherently built in when you refer products.
Yeah, and the other thing I heard in your strategy there is YouTube and email. I am still a big fan of email because it's an own channel. You get those email addresses. You can decide what to send, who sees it, and at least get some consistent open rate. If it's not great, or at least it's sort of I think up to your tactics or strategies. And there's very few gatekeepers there. YouTube is an interesting one. I think it is a cornerstone of thought leadership and a way people are still consuming a lot of content. At least I still do. And I know a lot of people, especially for tutorials that you do. If you haven't checked out HubSpot Hacks, go do that. But what's your thought there? Do you feel like that's maybe a half-owned channel that obviously they can change the rules, but if you're not trying to go viral, you can still build your own audience, or at least host content for free that you can get people to watch. Is that what you're thinking about YouTube?
Yeah, I still believe this. I hired my first video editor back in 2012, and that was just ludicrous. Like, what agency had a video editor in-house? Because that was just something that was too expensive. Videos were $10,000. You put them on the homepage of your website and called it good, right? But I think now, so I have a podcast episode with, if you've ever heard of Roberto Blake, he's a really big creator, about 160, I forget the number of YouTube subscribers he has. But we talked a lot about YouTube and this kind of myth that it's saturated. And first of all, he gave a lot of numbers that suggest that was wildly untrue. And so it was really like reassuring. But the second thing is really reframing. So if you think about this, Mike, if someone said, Mike, you're going to have a room full of your ideal customer, and there's only going to be 50 people in there, but they're all ideal customers, would you be interested in speaking to them for 15 minutes? You would be, foolish to say no. But I think when we get into the world of YouTube, we tend to think of like the creators and the millions of views and that kind of stuff. If you have, so we talked to a potential client this morning, they have a dirt and like soil testing company. If you're watching soil testing videos on YouTube, you're probably their audience. Like, I'm not going to watch soil testing videos, but the people that watch the videos are their ideal customers. So you need to have a different mindset when you think about YouTube for B2B versus just kind of Mr. Beast style.
Yeah, I think there's a big difference between, like I said, the going viral approach and trying to build an audience versus trying to find your niche and your audience. And that's the beauty of YouTube, is that you can subscribe to some weird, obscure
Hmm.
channel, with the Legos in my background and stuff. There's a couple of cool creators that I like, but like nobody's ever heard of. It's fine,
Hmm.
but they do really cool stuff that I enjoy. That's great. Or I think that to me is sort of like an SEO strategy too, where
Hmm.
I might not ever need your channel or subscribe to it, but that one time that I need to figure out how to build a sequence in HubSpot, I'm going to go find your video there and watch that tutorial. I just moved, so I was trying to disassemble a treadmill and put it back together, and you're like, you need some YouTube videos
Yep.
on that.
Yep.
That's like a very clear use case. And so there's kind of, I see three different strategies there: the viral one, and the content creator one, then this like niche audience of where we can build a community on YouTube, and
Hmm.
it doesn't have to be big, it can be small. We can pay for it, we can keep it private, we can do a lot of cool things there. And then there's this also that SEO strategy of like in the flow of the buying process and the journey, deeper, or even top of funnel stuff, but it's a clear trigger event
Hmm.
type of content that you can create there that's I think still valuable and a little bit different than what we're seeing with LLMs and
Hmm.
AI, where that blog post used to have that purpose, but now
Hmm.
AI can give you a better tutorial than we're writing and make it
Hmm.
specific to you. But when you still want to see it, as of now, it's not making that tutorial video for
Yeah, I think the hard part about YouTube strategy is you have to know from an SEO perspective, even if you want to talk about a concept a certain way, however your audience talks about it's going to be the way you have to frame it. So if
you.
for your example, a lot of people go looking for information about sequences, not a lot of people go looking for information about sequence structure. Their phrase is how to do sequences in HubSpot, HubSpot sequences, best practices. Why aren't my sequences working? Like there's a lot of reasons why your sequences might not be working, and HubSpot might actually not be the reason. It might just be your copy's terrible. But on the backside of that, the other thing to think about is YouTube is a fantastic way if you're in sales. Think about trying to get a meeting with someone and trying to get multiple meetings. If you have a YouTube channel and you create a specific playlist designed to be watched in a certain order, which playlists do, you can suggest, hey, Mike, you know what? This has been a great meeting. I'd love to meet with you again. But before we do, there's a really good video I'd love for you to watch. And I send you that video, and the video is the start of a playlist. And most likely, if you do it well, you will then consume multiple videos, which is like being in multiple meetings without being there.
Mm.
So, secret tip now, if you're not using YouTube in that way, highly recommend.
Cool. I like that one a lot. Now, I did want to ask you specifically about some of the other things outside of marketing, because I
Mhm.
think you have a cool background. You've been doing this for over 9 years. You've got a nice sized agency with other employees. And then also you're seeing a lot of variety in clients. So when you think about how AI applies to your personality or your own business, are you trying to amplify employees, trying to outsource stuff? Is it changing the makeup of your team? Where do you think we sit here in the middle of 2025 when we think about how AI applies to our overall maybe employment or uh, work strategies?
Yeah, there's a couple of things that are paramount to us. One is how do we work smarter and instead of harder? And I think that's anybody, regardless of whether they're an employee of mine or employed somewhere else, is thinking that. So it's like, what are the things we're doing repetitively over and over again that could be done at scale with AI? And then let's say the last 20% is human influenced. So running really good discovery meetings with our potential clients and then running those meetings through a specific framework that helps us create consistent, let's say, and like I'm calling it a discovery handoff. And so a discovery handoff would be this is a client, this is what they talked about, here's our use case for HubSpot. It's very consistent. Otherwise, right now, if you did that, every note taker would frame it a little bit differently. So, running a custom GPT that processes that in a very specific way, that's one thing. Our team getting access to OpenAI and having a paid account, it's less than we'll say a dinner a month per employees. So it's really important to do that. the other thing I think is really talking about the governance of the data and privacy and all of that kind of stuff. Cause I think that's, we're innovating faster than legislation and governance can keep up with us. So keeping that in mind, we're used to having, pin tests and phishing tests. Are we having tests about our information getting out, beyond the walls of an AI application? I don't think so. So I think that that's one of the things that, as an owner, I'm thinking about the way it's impacting us from a client perspective is we're seeing more and more clients bring us copy that you can tell AI wrote. And so they're wanting us to activate things inside of the HubSpot ecosystem or, hey, Allie, get this email out to our clients. And I read it and I go, I don't think this is going to be effective. And it might just be a wall of text. It might be, Mike, if you've seen ChatGPT write an email, it often bolds words randomly throughout the email. That's a clear
Yeah.
giveaway. So it's some of that kind of stuff that I think we'll continue to have to talk about strategy of that stuff, and just thinking like a human. There's probably going to be a course called Think Like a Human somewhere in our future to help understand what's going on with how AI copy gets interpreted.
I love that. We should make that course together for sure. But you did bring up another interesting challenge I'd love to ask you about, and we'll keep it anonymous here. But I've been seeing also clients start to basically there were people before 5 years ago that would Google like what are top internet marketing strategies and come to you as the agency and be like, here, I think we should do this, or have you seen this? And it seems like there's this other wave now of people becoming instant experts. Like, well, I asked ChatGPT what we should do with this marketing campaign, and here's what it said. And you're like, okay, well, has ChatGPT run this for you before? We've been working together for 10 years. Like, I'm trying not to take offense to client suggestions that we've gotten all the time, but also I think there is this recurring challenge that's happened throughout my career, whether it's graphic design or when I was doing web design, and built big sites. People are always like, well, I like websites that look like this. And I'd have to say, well, you're not a designer, number one. You're not a marketer, number two. And number three, you're not even the client. So we need to make stuff that like your audience likes, not stuff that ChatGPT thinks is good. Have you had to have any of those conversations yet? And how do you handle that when maybe a client or an employee is just taking what ChatGPT said for granted and not thinking as a human first?
So I think that's actually the biggest risk that is present for us today, because back in the day when you used to be able to say, here's a blog with 10 tactics, it was still open for interpretation. Now ChatGPT has given you the landing page copy, it's given you the email, it seems more prescriptive than it should be. And I think if I were to take a step back and say the reason why this is happening is people don't want to feel sold to, and they're afraid if you educate me, I might buy something I don't understand. And so it's really this quest for understanding that causes us as humans to go, like if I go to the carpet store, so I was talking about this on LinkedIn. If I go to the carpet store and I go looking for carpet that I want, it's because I know what my price range is. I don't want to be upsold to a $6 per square foot carpet when I can afford a $3 per square foot carpet. And that uncertainty creates this like icky feeling. And as humans, we run away from anything that is painful and scary.
Yeah.
So if we're using ChatGPT to make it less scary, the biggest challenge we have as marketers, business consultants, anybody. I mean, think about how this impacts tax advising. How does this impact doctors? Oh my gosh, this is my disease, and this is what
I know.
ChatGPT told me.
We used to think that looking it up on WebMD was bad. At least those were MDs. Now it's just like it could be a random AI hallucination or anything else. You don't even know if that's legit.
Yeah. So I think personally, my stance, and this is something you have to personally get on board with. My personal stance is nobody is out here willingly trying to tell me how to do my job. No one wakes up and says, I'm going to wake up and tell a marketer, Allie Schwanke, how she should do her job. What they're doing is they're trying to, preserve their sense of confidence. They're trying to preserve what they believe is their, trust in themselves, likely. And so my job is to educate and ask and help them understand. And if they don't want to go down that path, then we are not a good fit. I will say, listen, I don't believe in implementing things directly from AI, and here's why. And if that's what you want to do, then we're not a good fit for you.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I do think you have to have some natural pushback and then considering all ideas too.
Absolutely.
because I think there can be great ideas from ChatGPT. There can be cool tactics or things that we haven't done. I want to use those too. But there is this misconception right now that like we knew 2 years ago that everything on the internet wasn't true. Just because you Googled something and found it doesn't mean it's a great idea. And I think we've kind of lost that because AI sounds so confident, or we can ask it and say, hey, ChatGPT, act as a professional marketer and tell me the 5 things I should do for this campaign. And it will do that and sound like a professional marketer, but it is not.
Yeah.
And
Plus,
I think
the
context is
confidence,
a big deal too.
real quick, I was going to say the confidence that you need to execute with speed are not AI enabled. They are expertise and having seen the same patterns over and over and over enabled. So even if, like, I'll give you an example, I was using ChatGPT to help me code some things, and it wasn't because I was like trying to become a programmer. I was trying to help uncover enough so that I could understand what someone else might be talking about when we reached that conversation. There is no way I should not approach that meeting with thinking that I know all the things. I should approach the meeting with I'm here to learn things and
Yeah.
not, I think that's the mindset that we have to adopt. Cause you can, how many times, Mike, have you talked to someone who said, you talk about a philosophy and they're like, oh, I read that book. And then you ask them about the things from the book. They're like, oh yeah, I don't really do that. Okay. Having read the book and not putting the things into play, that doesn't count.
Yeah, applying the information is
Exactly. Hmm.
a lot more important. I think there's 3 things there that I keep reminding people, and I think it's marketers and clients here, is one, there is taste in the strategy, and times change in context. When you got to know when to break the rules and zig or be unique, like you were talking about earlier, that algorithms and AI is not designed to do. It's designed to be mainstream and be safe. So there's also making the individual assets, which is maybe a third of marketing, but it's not really the important part. The other part is tying these things together with a simple strategy, to use your company name again, to actually get leads out it or ideal clients at the end of it. It's really hard for AI to have the context of who you're talking to, what's a good client for you, what including your personality, logistics, what you were trying to do, and your company's unique value. It's a complicated thing that you got to kind of continue to figure out along the way. And all 3 of those, the strategy, the execution, but also the I don't know, just discernment of like, is this going in the right direction, still has to be done by a human. And those are different workflows or processes, I guess is the way I would say. So my last question for you is, where do you think this is all heading? If you had to predict what marketing looks like in 5 to 7 years, what do you think would be your best guess?
Well, I think we're seeing some of this on the consumer side already, and that's going to be, agents making purchases on our behalf and not really having to quote unquote deal with the humans behind the scene. I think we're going to see that. So I think we'll see a lot more of that in the sales process. I think we'll see a lot more humans on the customer service side because I think that that's the area, when you have an issue, commercials make fun of this where they yell into their phone, representative, representative. And so I think that, we often see staffing challenges in our customer service areas because they're overloaded and they're trying to put AI in there to save time and money and whatever. But consumers have so much opportunity to churn because there's so many more choices that I think we're going to see a lot more emphasis being placed on retention as opposed to acquisition, because now, customers can find all the solutions they need. They're going to ask AI for recommendations. They're going to ask their friends, and they kind of want to go use the tool and get into the tools themselves or get into the solutions without having to talk to a human. But I do think we're going to see experiences become one of the most important pieces of the marketing process. So instead of just going to a conference, it's a conference that we hired a very specific singer to come and do a nighttime thing, and the ticket's higher and it's exclusive. And when something becomes available to everybody, what everybody wants is a smaller group of people that understand them. And I think that that's going to become true, and we're going to see a lot more of that as a opportunity to build trust and relationships that result in business.
I like that. That sounds like fun and a decent future there too. I may or may not have yelled representative into a phone in the last
I tried that several times. I was trying to refill a prescription. Walgreens, if you're listening, I was trying to refill a prescription to Walgreens, and I kept saying I need to talk to a pharmacist. And the response that I got from the whatever the bot was I'm pretty sure I can help you with anything you need. And I was like, well, then why am I yelling talk to a pharmacist?
Yeah. You know what I need your help with? Talking to a real human pharmacist. That's
Yeah,
what I need.
exactly. So
Yeah, I think I love AI when it's one of those nice, easy questions, and it's like you can find it up, and it's like, here's a suggested help article, and you're like, well, great. I tried that. That didn't work, which is why I now need to talk to a representative, right?
Yep.
And so yeah, I was chatting representative. Now, how can I help? No, you can help me by getting me to a representative.
Yeah, I mean, literally talk to a human. If you don't have that in your AI process of like the word human in any of your chats, immediately bounce out and go into a human queue. You need to do that.
Yeah. It was like, great, I just need your customer number. It was like, if I had a customer number, I would have solved my problem already. Like, this is why I need a person.
Exactly.
And then side note, on whether you get to the human is actually any smarter than the AI. It's probably I've seen like a 50-50 crapshoot on that, but now we're on a tangent. Ali, how can you help us, or how can we help you?
Sure. Well, there's a couple things that you can do. I mean, one would be subscribe to the YouTube channel. Would love to have you over there. Secondly, I think if you're, looking for any sort of insight, this podcast is an excellent opportunity to learn from other people. But there are several different groups you can get involved in. So if you don't yet have somewhere where you're tossing around ideas and not just kind of self-learning, I would encourage you to get involved in something like that. And so if that's, we host monthly webinars over at Simple Strat, but if that's even just a Reddit thread, like go somewhere and actually have a conversation about what you're doing and kind of share what's working for you.
Yeah, awesome. The website, simplestrat.com, the newsletter, Marketing Deconstructed, and the HubSpot Hacks YouTube channel I've been subscribed to for quite a long time now. So I recommend that one as well. For Avenue 9, we're helping you figure out that human first messaging and your strategy with AI. We can interview your founder, your top salespeople, your best clients, come up with that messaging and contextual profile that you can then put into AI to get out better messages and execute and fill all the other fun strategies and tactics you have on your list. Or you want to write a book, start a podcast, and do all that kind of stuff too. We can help you amplify that. Go to avenue9.com. And until next time, have fun. Keep going, everybody.